Good evening and welcome. I call to order the Lake Havasu City Council meeting on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. We'll start with an invocation from Pastor Dale Ray with the Lakeview Community Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Randy Kozak with the Marine Corps League Detachment 757.
Mr. Mayor and Council and those who will join with me, let's bow our heads in prayer. Precious Heavenly Father, as the Christmas song brings to mind, this is the happiest season of all. And I also remember another one that says, dashing, dashing. So Lord, I pray that in this season of joy and in this season of hurrying around, help us to keep the priorities in our lives. I ask, Lord, first and foremost, that you would help us to love you with all our heart, all our mind, and all our soul. And I ask, Lord, that you would teach us in every way to reach out our hand to help our neighbors in this time. May we remember, though we may not have a lot of money or presents to give, what we can always do is take a hand and shake that hand. We can always bless someone by listening to them, by sharing with them the joy of this season. Precious Heavenly Father, I ask that you bless our mayor, our council members, and our city, that your hand will guide them in all the decisions that need to be made. I pray for each of the departments of this city, for the police and the fire, for the civil servants as they handle their jobs. Help us always to remember that we are here to serve you and to serve one another. And so in this truly happy season of the year, I pray that we remember the words that the angel spoke to the shepherds. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace and goodwill to all men. In your precious mighty name, Lord Jesus. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you.
Today, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk about our Toys for Tots program.
Yeah, please.
Last year, we had 176 boxes throughout the city. This year, we're over 200. This is a very, very generous community. Last year, we had a total of over 14,000 toys to distribute, and we're on record now to beat that. So again, thank you to everybody who contributed. It's very generous of this city. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kozak. Yeah, Councilmember Moses?
It's kind of funny that you're here because I just left my place of business. They took my box, but there's more toys that showed up today. And I was wondering who I could contact to get those to. Okay. Yeah, down at my restaurant. J-Bones Steakhouse.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kozak, and thank you to the Marine Corps League and Kiwanis for the Toys for Tots efforts and the toy drive throughout our community. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the partnership that you have with the community dinner that's coming up this week. All right, we will move on to item 4, which is our roll call. Ms. Williams, if you please call the roll.
Council members Nancy Campbell.
Here.
Jenny Koch.
Here.
Jim Dolan.
Here.
David Diaz. Here. Cameron Moses.
Here.
Vice Mayor Michelle Lynn.
Here.
Mayor Kal Sheehy.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 is the consent agenda. Would any of the council members like to remove any items for separate discussion?
I'd like to remove 5.6 for further discussion.
All right, Councilmember Campbell would like to remove item 5.6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Vice Mayor Lynn?
I'm sorry I don't have a voice tonight. Can you please remove item 5.3?
And Vice Mayor Lynn would like to remove item 5.3.
Mayor,
Councilmember Koch,
I'll make a motion.
please.
Motion to approve the consent agenda minus item number 5.3 and 5.6.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Councilmember Moses, if you could, thank you. All right, we are ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And now we'll hear item 5.3, which is resolution number 25-3883, continuing the Downtown Association pilot parking program as to the parking and common signage. Mr. Kozlowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last year, the city worked very closely with the Downtown Association to enter into a pilot program for 2-hour parking and courtesy signs in the downtown. Over the course of conversations and during this pilot program, the 2-hour parking has been working very well. After having conversations with the Downtown Association and our police department. Through that process, though, the Downtown Association still needs a little bit more time to implement the courtesy signs. Currently in the downtown, there's only one business who has taken advantage of this opportunity. And the Downtown Association does have a number of other businesses who are looking at adding courtesy signs to kind of help move traffic and allow people to access a number of those businesses in the downtown for their shopping pleasure. The Downtown Association, some of the board members are here tonight if you'd like to hear from them regarding the program. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlowski. Are there any questions or comments from members of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Vice Mayor Lynn?
have we had any complaints from any constituents about the program?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Lynn, I have not received any complaints. I've attended all of the Downtown Association meetings, and nobody has attended any of those board meetings to voice any concerns regarding the pilot program.
Mayor,
Moses, please.
Yeah, I'll just say I shared your same concern, Michelle, and reached out to the Downtown Association today too. And this is something they very much still desire, and they say it's working out great. So,
Thank you, Councilmember Moses. Any additional comments or questions on this item? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item? If so, just make your way to the podium and state your name for the record.
Hello, Bonnie Toy. I was curious about how many more spots were on McCulloch that were going to be added, and that's what I was curious about. How many more spots are being added, and is it necessary to add more spots?
As far as with the signage?
The greens.
Oh, the green zone?
So there were 6
The 2-hour
zones.
parking?
Yes, there were 6 zones in the presentation, and the pilot parking program was only using 2 of those zones. So there's 4 more zones that are, I would assume, based on the wording and the presentation from last year, that you would be adding more spots that are 2-hour parking on McCulloch. And that's what I was wondering, how many more spots are going to be taken away and made into 2-hour parking spots?
Yeah, so the resolution that we have in front of us right now is to the parking and common signage. So it's just to add parking signs in on private property in the parking and common zone. To continue on. So the signs may be posted on 1/3 of the available parking spots per property, but no less than 1 per property. And that would be 1 more year of this. So we're not talking about the 2-hour parking in this action item. We're talking just about the signage that people want to put on their private property in the parking and common zone.
Okay, so then in another year, will this come up and be addressed?
Yeah, in another year, if it either will be addressed with a permanent action of the council or removing the pilot program altogether.
Okay. And will there be possible adding of more parking spots on McCulloch to be 2-hour parking or not?
We're open to all discussions to make it work for the users down in that area, but that's not what we're considering this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council on this item?
Hello, Council. Taylor Harrison. I am the Vice President of Downtown Lake Havasu, so I'm here on behalf of all the other members. Nothing but positive feedback. In fact, there's been no negative feedback, but quite the opposite from a lot of people that go downtown. They enjoy the availability of parking spots quickly because the idea of this program obviously is to not have somebody plant their car there for 8 hours throughout the day, but to go to a local business, do their shopping, and leave. So it's been very positive. And as you all know, downtown Lake Havasu is comprised mainly of business owners on that area of road. So anyway, I know there was questions on the feedback, so just wanted to weigh in on that. It's been very positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the item and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Yeah, Councilmember Moses.
Yeah, I move to adopt the resolution number 25-3883, continuing the Downtown Association pilot parking program.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses, a second from Councilmember Diaz. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlowski. Item 5.6 is the reclaimed water user and water flow easement agreements for delivery of reclaimed water to the Iron Wolf Golf Course and Iron Wolf Golf and Country Club LLC and Iota and Waya LLC. Ms. Gary?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In 2015, the city entered into a reused reclaimed water user agreement with the then owner-operator of the golf course located at 3275 Latrobe Drive. The current owner-operator is now Iron Wolf Golf and Country Club. And so that agreement that the city entered into in 2015 inured to the current operator. The current agreement expires at the end of this year, and so to continue delivery of the effluent water to this site, the city needs to enter into a new agreement, which is proposed with the Iron Wolf Golf and Country Club, which are the current operators of the golf course. The actual owners of the property in which the golf course sits is Iota. And so we are proposing to enter into an easement with Iota that allows the flow of water of the pipeline on the property to be able to serve the operator, which is Iron Wolf Golf Club. And so we have these two agreements, the Reclaimed Water User Agreement and the easement agreement to allow the flow of water. So the term of the proposed agreement is for 10 years, and it can be renewed for an additional term of 5 years. Either party has the right to terminate the agreement upon 90 days notice. The water flow easement agreement is perpetual. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Gary. Is there any questions from members of council?
Yes, I have a question in regards to that. I kind of dug into it, and again, it was the refuge that originally owned both pieces of property, and then the city entered an agreement to go ahead and put the effluent pipe through the front parcel, directly through the center. And what I was understood was that that was going to be deeded to the city. And I would have talked to you about this earlier, but it kind of just came up to me recently that, like today, that it never was deeded to the city. And is that normal? Isn't a public utility that goes through a piece of property or parcel that's not owned by the city, but the infrastructure under the ground is owned by the city because they were the ones that put it in and installed it, is what I understand.
So there was an agreement, a development agreement that occurred way back when there was the development of that line and effluent service to that property. And so my understanding at that time, and with all the effluent agreement, the city owns and operates the line up to the property line. And then after it passes the property line, it's the property owner. So just like your sewer lines or your water lines at your home, up to your property line, the city is responsible. And then once it goes across your property line, you're responsible for that line. So it's the same thing with the effluent line. And so wherever it runs on the private property, the city doesn't necessarily control that. At the time, the two pieces of property were owned by the same property owner. And so the fastest, easiest way to the pond in which holds the water was straight across the property. Now the property has changed hands, and so it's a little bit different of a story, but the city wouldn't normally get an easement across your private property for a line. It just happens to be now different ownership and some of the things that are occurring there that have frustrated the purpose of just delivering the effluent to the golf course. And so now we're seeking the agreement with the property owner of the property that the golf course sits on, which is Iota. Just to ensure, to make sure in the future that the flow of the water through the pipe is all that we're really concerned with at that point. So we're not taking any kind of maintenance or control or anything over that pipeline. We're just assuring, because the operator of the golf course is different than the owner of the golf course as far as in companies. Now there's different there's relations between those owners, but not necessarily the same thing. We're just making sure that that continuation of the water flow is allowed to continue into the future, no matter who the owner and operators are.
Okay, but you are requesting easement here. So you
Yes.
said that we usually wouldn't have an easement, but you're saying you're only taking it up to the one property and that's it.
This easement is only for the property for IOTA. That's the property in which the golf course sits on. So we are, through this easement, through IOTA, they're granting us the water flow through the pipe to be able to serve the operator of the golf course.
Okay, so the city wouldn't take over that pipe for any reason?
No, we do
And they
not.
were never going to deed it in the past?
No, I mean, this situation only came up recently due to some other things that are occurring on that site. But normally, it wasn't something that was considered at the time to be an issue. And until recently, it wasn't an issue.
Okay. And yeah, everybody received an email on the council as well. So that's why I wanted to bring it out and bring up this. It says easement. It's a little confusing. It's an easement agreement, but they're saying that we're not asking for an easement agreement. So that's all.
We're just asking for the flow of water.
Flow, an easement for the flow of the water. And then there's also the reclaimed water agreement. So there's two.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the council? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing that, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any additional discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Yeah, Councilmember Moses?
I move to approve the reclaimed water agreement with Iron Wolf Golf and Country Club LLC and water flow easement agreement with IOTA Waya LLC.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses and a second from Councilmember Koch. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 6 is the selection of vice mayor. Every December in our city code, on the first meeting of December, we have the selection of vice mayor. That is when the council, of course, the citizens elect the mayor and city council, and then the council elects a vice mayor to serve. I would like to thank Vice Mayor Lynn for her service over the last year. We appreciate all that you have done. You've done a fantastic job, and now it is time to make a selection of vice mayor for this next year.
Mayor,
Yeah, Vice.
may I say a few words?
Yes.
I apologize. Mayor, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to represent as a vice mayor the past year. It's been a pleasure attending many of our community events and representing at the vice mayor. With that being said, I'd like to nominate Councilmember Diaz as the next vice mayor. He's done an outstanding job the last year representing the city in his position. He's very active in the community already. He attends almost every event or gathering that's not only in the community and city put on, but he's also very active in attending things in the county and neighboring communities. He has the time, the knowledge, and the approachability to be an excellent vice mayor. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mr. Diaz as the next vice mayor.
And I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion for our Councilmember Diaz to be vice mayor, and we have a second from Councilmember Campbell. Councilmember Diaz, do you have an interest?
I would be honored to serve when you are not able to.
Yeah. Excellent. Definitely. Thank you. Are there any other conversations or nominations or thoughts from members of the council?
Yeah, I mean, don't we have to go through this though, don't we?
We can have conversation at this point.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I'd like to nominate Jenny Koch. I think Michelle, you've done a fantastic job this last year. It's been awesome to see you finally get to do it. And I'd like to nominate Jenny Koch at this time.
Are there any other comments from members of the council? Councilmember Koch, would you have an interest in serving if that opportunity was presented? Any comments, Councilmember Dolan?
This is a tough one. I missed the last meeting, missed a lot. I think the discussion of the vice mayor is important because it's, especially going into election, it shows who the council as a majority respects as their co-workers up here. And basically I don't think it hurts them in any sort of election because those that think the city's going the right way we'll probably choose the vice mayor anyway. So I'm a little concerned about the political landscape going into next year. I do feel like there's a lot going on behind the scenes up here with people working together and agendas and things. So nothing disrespectful against Mr. Diaz. It's very, very new, very new. I don't know. This is a very tough one. There's a lot going on, as we saw in the last meeting, and I think there's a lot more to come. I'd be supporting Jenny in this situation just because I think that level of experience going into that election. And I have a lot of respect for her. It's not that I don't have a lot of respect for Councilmember Diaz, but he's also very new on council. So yeah, it's a tough one. So just my thoughts.
Right. So we have a motion from Vice Mayor Lynn for Councilmember Diaz. We have a second from Councilmember Campbell for Councilmember Diaz to be Vice Mayor. If we will vote on that because we have the motion and we have the second. Once that vote comes out, if it is not affirmative, then another motion can be made at that point, and then we can hear that item in front of us. So we are ready to vote. Yeah, you do.
Motion carries 4-3.
All right. Congratulations, Vice Mayor Diaz. And again, thank you, Vice Mayor Lynn. All right. We'll move on to item 7, which is correspondence, communications, petitions, announcements, and the city manager report. We'll start with item 7.1, which is announce vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions.
Mayor and City Council, this item is to announce vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. Currently, there is one vacancy on the Board of Adjustment as one alternate member. Anyone interested can pick up a packet at City Hall, and they are also available on the city's website at www.lhcaz.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Item 7.2 is the city manager's report. Good evening, Mr. Knutson.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'd first off like to congratulate our 2025 Lake Havasu City milestone employees. We recently honored 65 of our, we recently honored 65 of our employees who represent a remarkable 830 years of service to our city. This included employees across every milestone level from 5 years, 10 years, 15, all the way up to 35 years of service. We had 24 employees who were recognized for 5 years of service, 16 at 10 years of service, 6 at 15 years of service, 10 at 20 years of service, 4 at 25, 3 at 30, and we had 2 of our employees reaching 35 years of service for Lake Havasu City. We deeply, deeply appreciate the dedication and the meaningful impact that they have each and every day in Lake Havasu City, and really setting a legacy for the community and for our employees as they come through the ranks. Mayor Shee, along with Vice Mayor David Diaz and Cameron Moses, joined the community at Wheeler Park for Radio Central's annual tree lighting ceremony. Made extra special this year with the debut of our new lighting, the lighting of our new 50-foot community Christmas tree. This cherished holiday tradition features caroling, a festive story, and a special proclamation from the mayor. With the help from the fire department, Santa and Mrs. Claus also made a special magical appearance, delighting children and spreading holiday cheer. On Saturday, December 6th, our Vice Mayor, Michelle Lynn, presented a proclamation to the Women's Network Exchange of Arizona, celebrating more than 25 years of scholarship support for women in La Paz and Mojave counties. Through their annual shopping extravaganza and other fundraisers, they continue to make a meaningful impact in our community. So thank you very much. I'd like to play a video for the council and for the public and to help spread some awareness when it comes to graffiti, what it looks like, why it matters, and how we can all play a part in keeping our city looking great. And I'd like to thank everybody that participated in creating the video, and I'll play it now.
Hi, I'm Denise, Code Enforcement Manager for Lake Havasu City. And I'm Sergeant Daly with the Lake Havasu City Police Department.
We've seen an increase in graffiti across the city on buildings, fences, even in our parks.
And we need to make something very clear that graffiti, when it's placed on somebody's private property or building without their permission, is a crime.
Graffiti is any mark, paint, scratch, sticker, or symbol left on someone's property without their permission.
Even just having spray paint, graffiti tools, or implements in your possession at the wrong place at the wrong time can be considered a crime if you intend to damage property.
If they didn't say yes, it's a no. Graffiti harms neighborhoods. It makes people feel unsafe and can lead to more vandalism.
Some graffiti can also promote violence or gang activity. The faster it's removed, the better. Here's what you need to know about the penalties for making graffiti in Lake Havasu City. For adults, it's a minimum of 30 days in jail, at least $1,500 in fines, and a minimum of 80 hours of community service. Additionally, there can be restitution for cleanup costs. For minors, a minimum $500 fine, and the parents may be responsible for up to $10,000 in restitution.
Graffiti's expensive, and if you're responsible and you get caught, you're paying for it. If you have graffiti on your property, you will be issued a 10-day notice to have it removed. If that's not done, the city may remove that graffiti and bill the property owner for the removal.
If you spot graffiti or illegal tagging taking place in the moment, contact the non-emergency line at the Lake Havasu City Police Department at 928-855-1171.
Or if you see it after the fact, you can submit a photo and the location directly through the Havasu Now app.
Every report helps us take action quicker.
We all take pride in how beautiful Lake Havasu City is.
And together we can keep it that way.
Thank you for doing your part.
If you see graffiti, help us clean it up.
Our team did a wonderful job putting that video together on the internal operations of the city. I think it's important because it doesn't really get noticed, but I'd like to thank all of our departments that work tirelessly on a daily, certainly a weekly effort, if not a daily effort, including our parks maintenance staff, our public works team, code enforcement within development services, and of course our police department. Our approach has always been about cleaning up the graffiti as quickly as possible because trash collects trash, and that's certainly the same when it comes to graffiti. But we want to do it in a way that allows PD to collect the information and possible evidence that they need to make an arrest if we can do that. It's definitely a team approach, and that obviously includes our residents. So if any of our residents, if you see or if you know of someone who is vandalizing our community, we need to hear from you. Oops. Want to watch it again? I'd like to congratulate Fire Captain Paramedic Chris Bracamonte, who is going to retire in just a couple weeks. Chris began his career with Lake Havasu City in 1995 as a part-time firefighter paramedic, advancing to fire captain paramedic and serving our community for nearly 30 years. His commitment to public safety, mentorship, and service has greatly benefited the department and the residents of Lake Havasu City. Chris, we thank you and we wish you well in retirement. I'd also like to acknowledge Tom Elder, who will retire this month. Thomas began his career with Lake Havasu City in 1993 as a laborer in Parks and Rec and advanced through several roles over the years, ultimately serving as the facility maintenance supervisor. With more than 3 decades of service, Thomas has been a key part of maintaining and improving our parks and facilities. Thomas, we greatly appreciate your dedication and we wish you the best in retirement. We're going to miss you. And one last well-deserved retirement this month will be Brent Morris. Brent has began his career in public works and in the water division in 1990 as a meter reader and advanced through many roles over the years, ultimately serving as the utility supervisor. With more than 35 years of service, Brent has been instrumental in maintaining and supporting our water system operations. Brent, we appreciate your dedication and we wish you the very, very best in your retirement. We are very, very grateful for the impact that you've made on our employees, the community, and all things water for Lake Havasu City. So thank you to Brent and thank you to our 3 retirees. On Sunday, December 7th, the city held a commemorative ceremony at London Bridge Beach in observance of Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. Mayor Kel Sheehy shared remarks honoring the courage and sacrifice of those who served. Councilmembers David Diaz and Cameron Moses, the Marine Corps League Detachment 757, city staff, and several community members gathered to pay tribute. The London Bridge was illuminated red, white, and blue in their memory. Mayor Sheehy proclaimed December 7th as the 24th annual Christmas Tubas Day in Lake Havasu City, honoring this festive tradition that showcases local tuba and euphonium players and brings holiday spirit to our residents and to our visitors. This is the last reminder because on this Saturday, December 13th, we will be hosting our Household Hazardous Waste Recycling event. It'll take place at Fire Station 2, and it'll start at 8 a.m. and end at 12 p.m. This is for Lake Havasu City residents only, where you can come and dispose safely of electronics, hazardous materials, paints, tires, and other items that are listed here on the flyer or on the website. If you have questions, please contact by phone Republic Services at 505-7410. But we really encourage our residents to show up for this event. We like to get these things out of the landfill and obviously out of the desert areas. So this is how we dispose of these materials. Mayor and Council, this slide highlights our first annual Community Dinner Centerpiece Spectacular. It was a fantastic turnout with the community showing up in full force with creativity and teamwork. The centerpieces we've used for many years at the community dinner are a little old and tired, and it was definitely time to refresh our centerpieces. So we brought people together and did just that. And I'd like to thank our Parks and Recreation staff and a special shout out to Stephanie Lane for their donations and support. Your contributions helped bring this event to life, and we have more than 100 centerpieces that were created during this activity, and they'll all be displayed at both community dinner seatings that'll take place this Friday. Speaking of which, on Friday, we will have the community dinner at the Aquatic Center, and of course, the first seating, as every year, will start at 4 o'clock. Those doors will open at 3:30. And the second seating will take place at 6 p.m. with the doors opening at 5:45 p.m. We hope to see everyone there for an evening of good food, connection, and community spirit. And on December 19th, please join us for Sledding with Santa, which will take place at Rotary Park, right next to the skate park. An adaptive hour will be offered from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. And then the main events will continue running from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We look forward to seeing everybody at that event and celebrating the season. And as a reminder, this is our last council meeting of the year. So happy 2025 as we rein in 2026. I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, season's greetings, and hopefully everybody is joyous, is happy, and is safe. And with that, Mayor and Council, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Knudsen. Councilmember Lynn has a question on the Sledding with Santa.
Can you tell me on that on the adaptive hour between 4:30 and 5:30 exactly who that's providing adaptive services for? Is that for like disability?
Yes. Yeah. Vice Mayor Lynn or Councilmember Lynn. Yeah, that's exactly what that's set up for any kiddos that would need a little extra help or a little extra time because of a disability or something similar. We'd like to have them there early and be able to encourage and help them throughout that event. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Knudsen. We'll move on to our public hearings. During each of our public hearings, we encourage citizens to engage during the public discussion portion. If you elect to do that, just make your way to the podium when we open the public hearing, state your name for the record. We do ask that you communicate directly with the council, though, while we have that two-way conversation. There will be time indicator boxes on the screens throughout the room, indicating the amount of time. And then we will have a call to the public at the end of the meeting where we can talk about items that are not on the agenda, and I'll go over the guidelines of that when we get to that portion of the meeting. So we'll start with item 8.1, which is a Series 10 beer and wine store liquor license, Oasis Mini Mart at 2201 McCulloch Boulevard. Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, Kenneth K. Myers Jr. has applied for a Series 10 beer and wine store liquor license for Oasis Mini Mart located at 2201 McCulloch Boulevard North. All posting requirements have been met, all fees been paid, and no objections were received. The location is properly zoned for a Series 10 liquor license. The application was provided to you in the packet, and the applicant is also in attendance remotely to answer any questions from the City Council.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any questions from members of the City Council for Ms. Williams or the applicant? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Councilmember Moses?
Yeah, I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve a Series number 10 beer and wine store liquor license for Oasis Mini Mart 2201 McCulloch Boulevard North.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses, a second from Councilmember Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.2 is a Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Broken Yoke Cafe located at 440 El Camino Way. Ms. Williams?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Jeffrey Craig Miller has applied for a Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Broken Yoke Cafe located at 440 El Camino Way. All posting requirements have been met, all fees have been paid, and no objections were received. The location is properly zoned for a Series 12 liquor license. The application was provided to you in your packet, and the applicant is also in attendance remotely to answer any questions from the City Council.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any questions, members of the council, for Ms. Williams or the applicant? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or possible motion. Vice Mayor Diaz.
I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve a Series number 12 restaurant liquor license for Broken Yoke Cafe, 440 El Camino Way.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Diaz, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 8.3. And for this item, I'm going to recuse myself. I am employed by the property owner of the properties that we'll be discussing. So I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Diaz. Yeah.
Okay, the next item is 8.3, and it is a access easement agreements for pedestrian and vehicular ingress and egress adjacent to the Lake Havasu Bridgewater Channel with Residences LLC Lot and London Bridge Resort LLC Lot 2. Mr. Tuneman, your presentation, please.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. Tonight, we are considering approval of access easement agreements related to lots 1 and 2, which include the London Bridge Resort and nearby shops located south of the English Village and adjacent to the Lake Havasu Bridgewater Channel seawall. The purpose of these agreements is to establish a non-exclusive easement for both pedestrian and limited vehicular ingress and egress across the London Bridge Resort and nearby shops properties. Vehicular access will be restricted to the city and authorized agents and only for emergency response and maintenance needs. Lots 1 and 2 are privately owned parcels that extend inland from the seawall. Because of this, there has been no guaranteed public pedestrian access between the channel, boardwalk entrance, and the London Bridge. This lack of guaranteed access creates uncertainty for residents and visitors who expect continuous pedestrian connectivity along the Bridgewater Channel. The proposed access easement agreements will secure public pedestrian access along the Bridgewater Channel, ensuring the public can move freely between the boardwalk and the London Bridge. Vehicular ingress and egress will remain limited, protecting the pedestrian environment while allowing the city to respond to emergencies and perform necessary maintenance. Approving these easement agreements secures long-term pedestrian connectivity, provides for emergency and maintenance access, and strengthens public access to one of our community's most iconic areas, the Bridgewater Channel and London Bridge. I'd also like to provide an overview of the current easements and city-owned land on the mainland side of the channel. So if we start down here at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, this is the north end of Rotary Park. That's where it starts to be, it's state land that has a current lease with London Bridge Resort to have a golf course on it. You can see the red line that comes all the way along the channel, or the boardwalk as we all know it. There is no secured public access easements there at this time. We are currently working with the state and have some direction to move forward, and also with the London Bridge Resort to hopefully bring back to council next year. We're hoping an agreement that is looking pretty good with state land. And then we move up here to the north end of the golf course, and that's where we're talking about tonight. That's where the London Bridge Resort property starts and goes all the way over to basically the bridge. That's the agreement in front of you tonight. So if that is approved, that would secure that public access to the bridge. And when we get to the bridge, the city does own the land directly underneath the bridge in this area. And then once we get on the other side of the bridge in the light blue area, there was a 15-foot public access easement agreement that we currently have with the on the English Village property. And then once we get into this red area, that's the Chemehuevi Indian tribe where the ferry terminal building is. In that area, we do not have a public access easement as well, but we are going to start conversations with the Chemehuevi Indian tribe and hopefully bring back another type of access agreement for your consideration. And then as we move northwest along the parking lot of the Chemehuevi tribe and along in front of the Kingsview condos to the Windsor State Park, the city does own a strip of land in there that secures that pedestrian access. With that said, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Tuneman, just one quick question before I open up to the council. So the bottom portion you talked about, where it says state land, that red by the that could, in theory, could be closed off, and they have every right to do that.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council on this item?
Yes, Vice Mayor, I would like to, I see the red line that we have. Right now, it's in the agreement that we will maintain the sidewalks or any problems with that at this time.
That is correct. We have a separate agreement, a maintenance agreement that speaks to this area.
I'm aware of the maintenance, which was the cleanup, where we were kind of switching between under the bridge and back. The verbiage there makes more sense in regards to a cleanup, maintenance, who's responsible for it, like under the bridge, which is, we approve that. My only concern in this one part right here is I know recently we've had to replace a lot of the concrete underneath the bridge right now. I mean, about a year and a half ago, we replaced all the concrete. And I know the London Bridge Resort was responsible for a portion of this blue area, but there's still a continuation of that all the way around. Plus, and the part that says the grantee shall have the ability to maintain and improve the access easement area as necessary to preserve the conditions, functionality, and appearance of the area. That right there pretty much relieves the London Bridge Resort of any maintenance issues that might appearance, functionality. The next line says the grantors shall be responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of access easement area to keep it safe and attractive, including moving all obstacles and debris from the access easement. And I appreciate this contract. I am for it. I'm just, the verbiage on that makes me a little bit nervous, because basically it says if at any particular time somebody trips or falls in that area, they can say, well, right here, the city is also responsible, which I'm sure we would be, because we didn't handle the functionality or the condition of it as well. It's a little confusing. It sounds like you both are responsible for this, but that's fine too. I just wanted to make sure it's clear, like the day-to-day maintenance, keep it safe, attractive, including removing. So I guess we could ask our mayor to come up and ask, what do you perceive that to look like? Or can the staff tell us what it?
Maybe Ms. Gary could add to that clarification.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor, if you don't mind.
Yes.
So and the Councilmember Campbell, the verbiage that you read was picked specifically. So if you read that first part, shall have the ability to.
Right.
So we have if the city so chooses to do that, we have the ability to do that. We're not required to do it. And so that's very precise in terms of that language. That means that we have the ability to do it if we choose outside of the agreement at any time moving forward to do any any permanent improvements to that area. So that's the verbiage was selected specifically for that reason. We have private property, and we want to secure the ability for our residents, for the public, to be able to traverse through this area, and with an easement that is tied to the deed, and it allows for public access in perpetuity. And now we start talking about who does the improvements, who does the maintenance, and so there's some responsibilities there that we have as a city. And when it comes to making sure that the area is kept up, and then the resort has some responsibilities there too. But we're not obligated for those permanent improvements, but we do have the ability, and I thought that was important for this council and for future councils to make that determination.
And I agree with you on that too, that you definitely want to be able to maintain it at a higher standard. You have the ability to do that. You shall have the ability to do a better job, no offense, than maybe the resort wants to do. Or maybe you want to do something with the concrete, something a little different than what they have currently. But by saying that shall have the ability to maintain and improve that access easement, it's kind of like, well, you had the ability to maybe repair something that somebody tripped on. That I kind of just put it's just kind of a blanket. I don't mind the verbiage too much. I just I couldn't understand who was at the end is going to be responsible for all that new concrete if it needs to be done, the rest of it. Or
Vice Mayor, council member, the history of the channel is checkered, and in a good and fun way, and sometimes a head scratching way. So the city years ago went down and put some improvements down in the channel area, including the Gavion baskets and other improvements that have taken place. All that was done on private property. And so we as a city should not be putting public improvements on private property. So we need the legal mechanism in order to make that happen. And we need to preserve public access for our residents along the channel area. We have a lot of our residents routinely for decades now have started at Rotary Park and walked down the channel area either on the weekends or the mornings or really anytime they really want to, and they walk down to the bridge and beyond. We all kind of just assume that that's public property. We have the ability to do that. But I wasn't here, but the headlines from several decades ago, when the property owner at the time put up a metal gate and closed off access to that channel area, and then in true Havasu fashion, it was ripped off and thrown into the channel. So I think our residents want to see permanent public access in that channel area to be able to traverse and walk and enjoy the channel area for years to come. So that's. We're very excited to get to this point where we're able to identify this area. And as Mr. Tuneman did a really good job, is we're not done. We still want to get that state land piece, and we're having some good conversations. We want to strike up some conversations with the Chimawebe Indian tribe and preserve that area. We've had conversations when it comes to the construction of the second bridge, which is on the other side of the off the slide, but further north here. I'd love to be able to have the city be able to say that we can preserve public access for our residents to start at Rotary Park, traverse through all the channel area that you see here, and keep going. And then let's connect them to the second bridge, and then let's make that connection over to the island walking path so that our residents could bike or walk or enjoy that area permanently as a permanent way of handling this, not just a 5-year agreement or whatever else too. This will be in perpetuity. So is that helpful? I know.
Yes, it is. And I appreciate where we've had to get the easements and the surveys to do this. And I love the direction we're going. And I'm assuming in the near future, hopefully, if we continue this conversation, that we will be responsible for all of it. But then I had some conversations with Mayor today, but that's not for today, on how that looks as if actually someday what we're hoping for with a state agreement that we, the city, might own all of that. Was that hopefully the direction we'd love to be?
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Campbell, are you talking about the state land portion?
Yeah, the part, or just the public access. It's just supposed to be a public access agreement, nothing more.
Public easement.
Excuse me.
Yeah, public. So on the state land piece, easement. Right now we're very, very grateful for Mr. Flatley, who's the owner of the London Bridge Resort, to be able to come to the table and we can have this conversation. they're allowing the city to pursue a public access easement, again, recorded for the property. We want to do something similar with state land, but state land property is a completely different animal. And so what we're trying to do is get something into place. Our approach right now is if we get something into place with state land for the next 50 years in terms of a public easement on that property, that's good for 50 years. The thought there is that eventually that property will be sold by state land to somebody. And at that point, the city council or the city will have the mechanism to, before we approve any development or anything on that property, that we want a public access easement from that future property owner, whoever that might be. So we're basically asking state land to give us 50 more years to figure that out.
I like the direction we're going. So, all right. Thank you. You've answered my questions.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Moses.
No, I'd like to throw my support behind this too. This is the fact that this wasn't done before London Bridge Resort was built. It is, like Mr. Knudsen said, a head scratcher. I couldn't imagine a place where you couldn't just freely walk down there. And so 100%. I'd also like to really give kudos to the Flatleys for being willing to do this. This is just being a good citizen. Essentially, I mean, I'm not a realtor, but I would think that by doing this, they're making their property a little less valuable. And so the fact that they're willing to do this for the betterment of the community, just because it's the right thing to do, I'd like to just tip my cap to them. I really appreciate them being willing to have these conversations. And I hope some of the other owners that were maybe overlooked down the road might be willing to do the same thing. So thank you, Mr. Flatley.
Thank you, Councilman Moses. Any questions by the council? Just a question, Mr. Thunman. Does this affect the upkeep of who's responsible for the seawall at all, or is that something completely different?
That would be included in the maintenance as necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yes, sir.
This is a great question. So again, that language says that have the ability to, right? There's been some conversations that if we're successful, so if State Representative Leo Biasucci is listening, we could use some more of those that SLIF funding and from the state that would allow us to improve all areas that are next to our waterways. And so that might be a great use of that water, or excuse me, a great use of those funds. I'm having a little bit of fun with State Representative Leo Biasucci, but and you also need to thank him for all of the SLIF dollars that he's brought back to Lake Havasu that's helped us. But that would be a big boost for us on that regard. The seawalls are expensive to maintain.
Thank you, City Manager. All right, if there's no more questions from the council, does anyone from the public want to address the council on this item? Please state your first and last name for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and City Council. I do have a question in regard. Bonnie Toy. I do have a question, and it says on there that the state land is, you have it highlighted as that red space, and that's the sidewalk that the city maintains or the walking path in that area. And I know that from walking down there on occasion, the city has a storage lot or something over in that area as well. But that whole little green area, well, what part of that is all actually state land, and why do you think that they're going to sell it, and who would profit, and what would they get from owning a sidewalk?
You want to answer that, Mr.?
Sure. So state land sells property as a part of the U.S. Constitution. They are required. The demand for Arizona state land, that's what they do. They sell property to raise money for the school. The property that in question that would be sold isn't the sidewalk area, although it would include that area. It's the entire golf course. That property is owned by the state land department. So if that property sells, which it will someday, is it going to be in 5 years or 50 years or whatever that looks like? We want to make sure that regardless of the owner, that we're ensuring public access for our residents. Is that helpful?
So that part on the map is golf course?
Steve, could we go back and put up the PowerPoint presentation? The golf course, where it says the tag says state land.
Yes.
That's the golf course. The golf course is state land. It's owned by the state and it's leased to the London Bridge Resort.
Okay.
Has been for many, many years.
Just to reiterate, if they do decide to sell it, it's not just making a phone call to someone, hey, you want to buy this? They have to go through an auction process, and that happens on the court steps of the Kingman County, the Mojave County Courthouse in Kingman.
Okay, but so right now the resort is under agreement with the state land for
On that particular piece of area of the property, yes. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address the council on this item? Please step up to the podium and your first and last name for the record.
Mr. Vice Mayor, council members, my name is Kelly Lutz. I had a couple of questions. The main one is, how does this differ from the agreement that you had about a year ago regarding the property underneath the bridge and the area in front of London Bridge Resort that you made with the London Bridge Resort regarding, I thought it was the ability for London Bridge Resort to control what was going on in the stage area underneath the bridge, and they in turn gave up. So help me, can someone refresh my memory on what that was about and how this is different and how this is needed instead of what we had previously with them agreement-wise?
Vice Mayor, I can assist if you would like.
Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, Council. So as part of the agreements that you're talking about that went to council previously, one of the conditions of that was for the resort to work with the city to obtain these easements. So these easements are permanent public access along the shoreline. Right. And so the maintenance agreements kind of detail the responsibilities as far as maintenance and that sort of thing. But these are just the easements that create that public right to access those areas. These will be perpetual. They're filed with the recorder's office and will continue throughout time.
So before this agreement takes place, the public didn't have, I don't understand the difference. The public didn't have access to that area?
They might have access because they're being permitted to by the private property owners, but there isn't the city doesn't own that property. So some of the areas,
but the city,
here,
I think the city agreed to take care of that part of the property in the last agreement.
But in exchange for them to work with us to obtain these easements. Now these easements are in place, and now we have the maintenance and now the easements all together.
Yeah, but previously, this is kind of confusing. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense that the city was taking on responsibility of maintaining that, but we didn't have this, but the citizens didn't have a right to use that property. So this is kind of crazy. It's kind of a strange situation that maybe should have been addressed at the same time they did that agreement in the past. I don't really know. And then go ahead.
Just so before you go to another question, as Mr. Knudsen said, this has a checkered past. So we can go all the way back into the 60s where you will find in documents a reference to this 15-foot public access easement that's supposed to surround the channel.
Yeah.
As you'll see throughout time, it was mentioned many times. It was discussed many times, but nobody ever actually recorded an easement. So throughout time, this language has been continued. People have believed it to be public access, but we're finding that in spaces it's not. And so the city has worked very hard over the last couple decades as we are approving developments, as we're working with different people through different channels to make sure that we're establishing these easements to protect the public's access to this very important area of the city.
And it's essentially taking what was perceived and making it official, basically. Yeah. And as the city attorney mentioned, the agreement that you were discussing about the stage, part of that was to allow them also to work with us. They agreed to work with us on this, what we're doing tonight.
Back then, they agreed to address this in the future. Is that what you're saying?
No, they agreed to work with us on these easements that we are going to do.
And then speaking of what you're working on tonight, how did that come about? Who brought that to the city staff? Was that we requested that as a city wanted to iron that out, or did the resort bring that to the city staff and say we want to do this?
So the city has been working for many, many years on trying to establish these easements along the channel once we've learned that they were not actually recorded. So it's something that we've been working with different property owners over time.
Excellent. So the attorney,
something that has
the city's been working, the attorney's been working on
well,
this.
I mean, the city collectively, along with the resort and the other property owners, it's something that's been collective
Right.
and just trying to put all of the pieces together. It's complicated. There's a lot of different moving parts and pieces as far as the lease and different ownerships. And so just bringing it all together, we're finally coming to a point where we can secure.
So again, I'm not really getting my question answered. Did someone ask you to look into this, or was it on your agenda and then you've been working on it for the last couple of years?
It's been on our radar for several years to accomplish this, and we're continuing to move forward.
And many councils prior to this too.
Vice Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Just to add to that conversation. 100%. Once I found out that this wasn't right, I asked staff, hey, let's start trying to figure this out.
Excellent.
For the betterment of the city.
Yeah, that's
so they work
the
on it.
trail of events. Yeah.
But then we all have the input on it along the way.
Excellent. In the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Moses. Anyone else from the public want to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to council for further discussion or a possible motion and vote.
Vice Mayor.
Councilman Dolan.
Motion.
Councilmember Dolan, give it a second.
I move to approve the access easement agreements with Residents LLC and London Bridge Resort LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Dolan and a second by Councilmember Moses. Any further discussion? Okay, we're ready to vote. Am I voting on my screen?
Motion carries with 6 council members voting aye and 1 council member recusal.
And man, it was his first day. You guys really grilled him on that one.
That's good.
Nice job, David.
All right, we'll move on. Thank you, Vice Mayor Diaz. Move on to item 8.4, which is ordinance number 25-1372, amending Lake Havasu City Code Section 3.20.040, Schedule of Fees and Service Charges, to add and revise fees and service charges. Ms. Olson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you may recall, in October, we brought this item to you, and Council had requested that we make a few changes. So as you look at the council communication, you'll see that we still listed the items that were changed at the last meeting. And then we have an additional section where we show all of the items that you requested not be changed. So those fees for 2026 would remain the same as they were in 2025. So you'll see them listed in the council communication. And then you'll also see them on the fee schedule, starting on page 8 of 15. And you'll see everything that's in kind of that lavender pinkish color. Our items that you'll now see in the difference column are 0, meaning that the fee is staying the same. And the fees would be effective on February 1st. So these are the items that staff understood council to want to leave the same. So hopefully we reflected your direction on that. In addition, on the facility use schedule, we did, just for consistency purposes, should we ever want to charge at Main Street Commons, we did add fees for any stage rental or concession stand rental, as well as the deposits, just to be consistent with how we do the other parks. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Are there questions from members of council?
Mr. Mayor.
Berlin?
Excuse me. I'm still really not feeling comfortable with the Commons area. So the Main Street Commons building that's being built, the concession stand, we're going to rent out the concession stand, which is only the front of the concession stand, or is it the whole entire building?
I think some of the operational things with those buildings, Councilmember Lynn, won't be decided until we have it actually open and are putting it together.
So that's where why are we even putting the stage in there? I don't like any of this verbiage in here because we don't have it done. I just don't even like any of it. we don't know what's going to be stored in there. I'm just thinking that if I was coming down there, I was going to rent that area and I was going to rent the concession stand maybe for a Saturday night, and on Friday I rented it for the 2 days. And I wanted to put things in that concession stand that I needed for the next morning. Am I going to be able to do that? Like, I'm just really confused with that whole thing of even putting the stage in there at this time.
Yeah, so in that scenario that you just described, Councilmember Lynn, yes, if you rented it for 2 days, you would have access to the concession area. If we don't, so in order to raise fees, we have to have council action, but also has to be posted for 60 days. So when this building and bathroom area is built and ready to use in March or April, we will have to tell someone, no, we can't do anything with this building at all for 60 more days until council decides. So this gives the flexibility for us to see how that's going to work and then come back to council should we need to make any adjustments to it. But yeah, you would have access to that full building.
But what if it's full?
It won't be full.
So were we guaranteeing with this that the only thing that's going to be in that concession stand, the only thing that will be stored in there is a stage that we know of right now?
Yeah, I think the conversations we've had is stage, fencing, and I think those are the only.
But there's no fencing on here. The fencing's not even on here.
Yeah, I've rented.
Okay, where is that page? Can you tell me what page that's on?
Fencing rental is on page 10 of 15, right in the middle, S362.
I'm sorry, what number?
S362 on page 10 of 15.
Okay. So the fencing right now that we have is the blue fencing, metal fencing. That's fencing that the city already owns.
Yeah, that's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And I'm only asking this because I also sit on the PED board. If they're planning on bringing barriers in or something different besides this fencing, where were those fencing? Is that going to be stored somewhere different?
Vice Mayor or Councilmember, we don't know yet. We need to get this building open, but we need to have flexibility to be able to charge somebody so we can use the facility when it gets there.
And why do we have the stage in there?
Because we know about the stage that's been brought forward.
But we also do know that the
fencing will be the current fencing listed on here. So there's already fencing that we charge for. So should we charge for that? All of this will be open once the decisions are made. But
I hear what you're saying, but I am on the board at the PD, and I've seen a whole screen of all of the things that they're planning on bringing down into the commons and where they would like to possibly store it. So I have the privilege of seeing that. So I do understand the stage, but there's other items, and it's just left out on here. I hear what you're saying.
So when you make a motion, you can include the items that you feel are left out.
Well, I think before I know what's left out, I maybe need to hear from the PED or what they're planning on putting in that area. Can we hear from Mr. Gray? He's here. He was here.
He's no longer here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
so this is just fees, though. This isn't policy. This isn't, we can make changes to it. It's just the fees, what we can rent it out for. I think we're getting a little far ahead of ourselves. And like I said, of things that go on behind the scenes, I think there's a group of us that don't like that park, and anything about the park is going to be a hot topic issue. But this is about fees, and maybe we can just keep it about the fees. And if we need to make changes to what goes in there, we can have a special agenda item for that in the future to have that discussion. But maybe we can just keep it just on the fees.
I respect what you're saying, Mr. Dolan, but we are talking about fees, and some of the things that we're going to rent out is a stage. And it was mentioned at one of the council meetings from Mr. Gray that there was going to be fences or barricades that the PD was going to give to the city. He said he was going to give it, and leaving that out, but putting the stage in there is a problem. This is not anything agenda or political or anything. I sit on that board. I know what was said, and it's not in here. So I have an issue. Just take the stage out until it's built. When I see that the stage is in there, then we can put an addendum in here. I want to see what's in there before I agree to this.
It doesn't work that easy, though. We can just add it back in. We'd have to go through the full process, which is fine. We can do that, and we will have to go through it once we know how it operates. But again, just because the PED wants to give us something doesn't mean we're going to be taking it. So even with the stage, that doesn't mean we've agreed to take the stage yet either. We just, what this gives a vehicle, should that be the direction, to be able to have a fee for it. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the council?
My only comment to this is I wish that this was separate. Again, I wish it was two different items. You have new fees. I'd be all for supporting new fees. Do I support the 4.39% CPI adjustment? I don't. So I'm kind of stuck between those two situations. And again, next year I would hope that we would have, let's approve the new fees that we're adding on to our schedule, like even Councilwoman Lynn was talking about, and then let us decide if we want to just pull that number, that 4.39% as a CPI right now. And I just think that's too high. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the way that we've always done the fee schedule. So any motion would be considered based on what you are going to do. And, there's also in here, which we're not talking or talking about out loud right now, is the development fees. So if we don't increase the development fees, literally citizens here are going to be paying for somebody else's house permit, the cost that exceeds what it is. So those are in here as well. And that's where the CPI is. And again, this is not a staff issue. This is our policy. This is the council's policy that we say 2 years do the CPI, and then we'll do a deep dive, full reconciliation on the third year. So should we want to change that in the future, that's also something that we can consider as well. Vice Mayor Diaz?
And this is something we could discuss as we talked about at the upcoming retreat with everyone when we talk about the budget process.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, then, Chairman, sorry, Mayor, Vice Mayor, who, for instance, I agreed with Mrs. Toy as well. Comparing our business license to all the surrounding communities is quite concerning that we're substantially higher, and now we're putting another 4.39% on it. I have looked at some of the costs of water meters and permits and other items along with the Tri-City Council area, and we're above standard on them too. So I'm not just doing this to argue or a political debate or anything else. It's having the fact that I have reviewed our neighboring communities, and they're building houses quite a bit cheaper than us, and there is a reason for it. So we're just costing a lot more than they are, and that's what I see. And just pulling that 4.39% again, I just think it's a little bit too much right now. That's all.
No, and again, it's the policy of the council to do that. I don't know what Bullhead or Kingman did last budget year, but above the recommended budget that was in front of us, this council approved $1.5 million in additional wages. So we have to recoup that in some respect. So our costs might be a little bit higher because maybe we pay more. I don't know the circumstances. I'm just taking off your words, but I do know our circumstances, and that is where we find ourselves at.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Dolan?
It was like, when we did this years ago, it was because things were a little bit more steady at the time. And it was, well, then why go through this in-depth process of how much does it cost to do this? How much is a stamp? How much is this? And there was a little bit more stability back in those days, where now things are jumping crazy. So maybe it might be something we might want to consider in the future, is doing it every other year, or while things are like this, maybe we do decide as a council that we want to spend that extra money and staff time to make sure we get it right. Because that's my problem. If we just pick through some of the, well, that feels high. Well, but yeah, what are the other comparable cities? And we're just kind of tip of the iceberg. So maybe that is something we can do if it's a big concern. But like I said, it's going to cost the city more money to do that. Maybe we don't do it every third year. Maybe we do it maybe it needs to be done next year, just to kind of get us back in line with where we do need to be. So just something to think of for the future.
Thank you. I believe next year is the full reconciliation year. Is that correct, Ms. Olson?
It would be one more year after that.
One more year. Okay.
Would it actually be market? Do you guys look at the surrounding market as well and take that into consideration, or is it just you're dialing down what the cost it is, like Havasu City, to do these services?
Mayor, Councilmember Campbell, we do take a look at the market, and in fact, you'll see market prices as the reference on many of these. Typically, and the business licenses, for example, we did check with all of our comparable cities, and frankly, they had no basis for their fee. They had no basis for why their fee was what it was. It's just been that number for as long as anyone can remember, and they just never talk about changing it. So we're actually basing ours on cost, and we're already subsidizing the business license fees from 50 to 70%. So we are only recovering a portion of the business license fees. I think just to recognize that is easier for the businesses.
Councilmember Moses?
Yeah, no, I just remembered I need to come down and pay my business license. So thank you.
I had a note.
It'll be there
31st.
before the end of the year, I promise. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Business licenses are a perfect example. If we don't recoup the cost through the fees, then essentially we're pulling from the general fund, and then all of the public is now subsidizing my business license. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I think if you use a service from the city, that you need to pay for it. But in the spirit of negotiating, I came to the table last time with, say, hey guys, what do you want to negotiate? And then it didn't seem like anybody else wanted to negotiate. In fact, we tried to appease with some of the park stuff, and it was still voted down by the other half of the board. I don't think that this is the right way to go. I don't think picking and choosing programs that is important to you to not make it, to treat them different than anybody else is not right. So not charging more at the airport just because that's important to us, well, great. But it's not the right thing to do. This is a process to treat all fees the same, and so that we're not picking and choosing winners and losers. I'm kind of subtracting my support from what we're currently doing, and I want to propose that we come back and treat everything the same. And if you want to negotiate on, if you think 4 point something is too high, I'm willing to negotiate that. But nobody else seems to, we just want to keep picking these winners and losers. I'm still very upset about the airport situation with not increasing airport fees just because the airport guy was here. I don't like this. I don't like that process, and I don't like where we're going with it. I think it's a very scary road to go down as a city, to be like, oh, my friend works at the airport, so I'm not going to increase his fuel flowage taxes. That's not cool. That's not right. I agree that the CPI index could be a little inflated. So if you want to negotiate on the number, I'm all ears, but I will not support treating anybody different than the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Moses. All right. Councilmember Koch?
Just to clarify, though, these would be fees going in effect January 1st, and we don't have another council meeting before then.
This one actually goes into effect on February 1st, is what the proposal
because we
is
made the changes.
Yes.
But if not passed tonight, do we run into an implication because of that?
We would have
what happens then?
Take a look at, if we take it to the first January meeting.
Is there something that's going to,
we have
how
to
is
have
this
that
going to
60-day
impact you
notice.
guys?
So it'd go to March 1st if we went to the January meeting.
All right. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I did notice, and I know I took notes from a couple of years ago, and then this year with the business license fees. And I like the idea of Councilmember Moses's remark about negotiating on where to change the fees. So right now, like I said, a new business license fee in the city of Lake Havasu is currently $188. With this increase, you're going up to $196 for a basic business license. And that is, in my thought process, for anyone who's starting out as a new business, it is a hindrance for the single mom who may have just got left by her guy or just been abused and needs to start out a new business at home just to survive. Any home-based business that doesn't have to do a bunch of other fees, you're adding a $200 fee that is possibly going to stop them. And my thought process is that having new businesses in Lake Havasu is really important, even if it's people working out of their homes. And the more successful our businesses are, the better off our city is. But I looked back in 2023 over the cost of business licenses. In Avondale was $40, Kingman $100, Yuma between $40 and $120, Bullhead $60, Goodyear $75, Mariana $60, Casa Grande $70, Flagstaff was $0, and Prescott was $0, Flagstaff was $8, and Buckeye was between $40 and $100. And I didn't compare those same cities because last year, the cities, when I went back on the website to the schedule of fees for last year, the cities that were listed for comparison were Maricopa, Bullhead, Mariana, Avondale, Casa Grande, Goodyear, Oro Valley, Kingman, Yuma. And all of them are under $100 except for Yuma, which goes between $40 and $100 just for that base price of business license fee. So, and Lake Havasu, did I already say that Lake Havasu is the most expensive one in the whole state? With the whole negotiating thing, funny thing, I have mentioned this, whole thought process to a few people, and current business owners all tell me, well, it's just the price of a beer, Bonnie. Yeah, that's if you're getting a renewal, your renewals are $140. So my suggestion is going to be that perhaps instead of raising the price of the new business fees, just raise the price of renewals $8. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Toy. So I think you're kind of going back to what, so the current businesses that are subsidizing the new businesses is in your suggestion.
So, I also did a list of, you don't know if that was the way I would look at it, because if you're a new business next year, you'd still be paying all those extra $8 price of beer fee. But I looked at the city growth. In 2018, we had 258 new businesses. 2019, 293. 2020, we had 314 new businesses. In 2021, we had 562. 2022, 774. Then when you guys, after I made the suggestion in 2023 not to raise the fees, and you went from 140 to 166 or 167, you had 661 new businesses. 2024, you had you went to 188. No, 188. In 2024, you had 520 new businesses, and this year, as of November 17th, you've had 404 new business license pulled. So I do believe that maybe not raising the rates seems like a little thing, but maybe it could be helpful.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item?
Tim Murray, you're a very intelligent group of people. You've been around this community for a long time. The politics, I don't really care about your politics. It reminds me of Washington. Do what you think is right for this community. That's why you're up here. It's going to turn into, you like this, I like chocolate ice cream, and somebody else likes vanilla. Just fix it. Sit down and talk. And stop the back and forth. I heard it all at the last meeting, right? We all know what went on there. You finally all got together in the back room and you came out and you all agreed with each other. I don't know how you do it, whether you have a subcommittee or something, but this arguing in front of all the citizens, this doesn't do you any good. We respect you for what you are, not for you sitting up here bantering with each other. do what is best for the city. That's why you're elected. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item?
Yeah, Patrick Willett, resident. Just to disagree with Cameron Moses on that, you guys picking somebody that you know or something like that. I think if you have somebody that's contributing and they're giving to the city and the airport is paying in or generating revenue for this city, then yes, you may want to give them a break or something. You can decide if it's a right thing to do or not, but I think it's kind of childish that you would say that you're doing it because you know this guy or you know that guy. It's just set the fees, and if the company or business is bringing in a lot of revenue for our city here, then yeah, you work with them and you want to keep them happy. You don't want to run people off. That's the only thing I'd say.
Thank you.
Kelly Letts again. I wanted to commend Councilmember Moses for his comments. All businesses should be treated equal. It doesn't matter what they bring into this city, from the small guy with a small business or the big guy with a big business. It doesn't matter what they all bring. Everything, they all bring something to the city. So it should be an unbiased representation of a tax. I really wanted to ask though, and I apologize, I should know this and find out myself, but we're talking about the VRBOs. Are they taxed as a business? Is there?
Yeah, so we've passed an ordinance where they have to be registered, so they have to pay a $250 registration fee, which is the greatest amount allowed by state law. And then they do have to have a TPT license or transaction privilege tax license and pay bed tax as well as city sales tax.
Again, so we're not partners with them. They're paying their fair share too.
I don't know that I'd say we're partners with them, but they do pay their taxes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
May I just comment?
Yes.
That's politics in a nutshell. Right there. Those last two comments, right? 50-50.
Would anyone else like to address the council on this item? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and come back to council for discussion. You know, we find different items each time to talk about and focus on when it comes to the fee schedule, but let's just talk about the business license for a second. So when we talk about cost recovery, we're looking just to recover our cost to issue the business license. So we're not just issuing a piece of paper that says you can do business in Lake Havasu. We're sending a firefighter and maybe a building inspector down to the facility that they're going to be conducting their business and making sure it has proper ingress and egress, that it has the proper security systems necessary for the well-being and safety of citizens. We then have to process it through Ms. Olson's team to actually process that. It goes through all departments for a review. And so there's a cost associated with that. I may have missed something big that there's technology. We actually just bought technology last year to help manage that. So, I mean, all of those things that go into the cost of this, I mean, that's why the fee is where it's at, not just that we're applying a CPI or that we're choosing something out of the air or comparing it to some other city that we don't know their circumstances of what it might cost or what they do. They may not visit the businesses prior to issuing a license. So that's just one example. So what we have in front of us is a lot of work that city staff has done already. They have done what we've asked them to do, which says that every year apply a CPI rate index to this. On the third year, they'll come back with a full reconciliation. That's our policy of the council. That's what they've done. They came and did that with us on the first read, and we said, great, now we're changing our mind, and these are some feedback items we have. Ms. Olson went over that this evening when she presented the items on the changes that we made, and that is the interpretation. So we have in front of us all of the work that they did. So with that, I would entertain a motion unless there's any additional discussion on the item.
Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Koch.
Just a comment to just tag along to what you said, because I had a comment. It appears maybe a lot of differences in opinion on this, and we've gone through this multiple times over multiple years, and we kind of always end up coming back with some changes. But it seems more like a process that we have a problem with versus problems of specific fees. So if that's the case, it needs to be addressed prior to staff going through all the work, coming to us with these numbers, then asking them to change them, bring them back. But the root cause of it all is if if the process is what bothers most because they don't agree with it, then we need to change that. However, with that being said, I would like to make a motion for tonight. But having said that, I think that needs to be a consideration, something we consider moving down the road, that there is a process change, because it appears that that seems to be the big problem.
Thank you. And I think Vice Mayor Diaz had mentioned that maybe we do have that discussion during our planning session this year.
So with that, I would make a motion.
Yeah, please, Councilmember Koch.
I move to adopt ordinance number 25-1372, amending Lake Havasu City Code section 3.20.040.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch. We have a second from Councilmember Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 5-2.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Olson, and thank you to your team as well. All right, the next item is item 8.5, which is resolution number 25-3885, approving a minor general plan amendment revising the future land use map designations for a portion of 2400 Wood Lane, track 135G, block 2, lot 3A, approximately 2,810 square feet from open space and park to low density residential. Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The subject property is located on Wood Lane. The property abuts the Lake Havasu City Golf Course. The property owner purchased an abutting portion of the property from the golf course and tied it to their residential property earlier this year, resulting in the property having both open space and park and low-density residential land uses. This request is to change the future land use designation of the old golf course portion of the property from open space and park to low-density residential, so it will match the balance of the residential lot to permit residential uses and accessory structures that would not otherwise be allowed on the golf course portion of the property. The applicant's letter of intent asks to amend the city's general plan future land use map for the subject property from open space and park to low density residential to facilitate development in the newly acquired area for residential use in the existing residential estates district. The general plan amendment is the first step in this process. A rezone application for the property immediately follows this general plan amendment request. A citizens meeting regarding both the general plan amendment and rezone was held on August 18th, 2025. The applicant attended the meeting. There were no other attendees or responses. The proposed amendment is in conformance with many goals and policies of the city's general plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval at their November 19th meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here today.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Are there any questions from members of the council for Mr. Kearns or for the applicant?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a quick question. I'm looking at, I don't know if this is this in the slides?
Yes.
Was that one in the slides? Can you pull that back up?
Yeah, the area map?
Yeah. Is there already a home there?
Yes, there is.
Are there homes next to that home?
Yes, there are.
Do they have the same amendment on theirs, or is this going to stick way out? If we go to go back to the green one. I'm just curious.
Yes, at this time, it would. The other homes have not purchased an abutting property from the golf course.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
That's a good question by Michelle, Councilmember Lynn. But I could say from living, I used to live in this area, and a lot of the owners in those areas have done this, and they just have to apply for the city. And it just makes their property more functional for them, and it is. There's up and down these fairways. It's happened all over the place.
Yeah, we've done this several times. And Mr. Kearns, if you go back to the area map, you can actually visually see the open space. It's there is no grass there, and so it's that 10-foot area, and we've done it several times based on if they successfully purchase it from the golf course. Any other questions or comments? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item? Seeing now, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Councilmember Moses.
Move to adopt resolution number 25-3885, approving a minor general plan amendment revising the future land use map designations for a portion of 2400 Wood Lane, tract 135G, block 2, lot 3A, from open space and park to low density residential.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses, a second from Councilmember Dolan. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.6 is a companion item, ordinance number 25-1374, approving the rezone of a portion of 2400 Wood Lane, track 135G, block 2, lot 3A, approximately 2,810 square feet from golf course to residential estates district. Mr. Kearns.
This is the same property from the previous item, but is in regard to the zone change. It is located on Wood Lane, south of Hogan Lane. The subject property measures 0.35 acres and is developed with a single-family home. This request to rezone the old golf course portion of the property from golf course to residential estates, so match the balance of the residential lot. This will permit the property owner to use the added golf course land for residential uses and accessory structures that would not otherwise be permitted in the current zoning. The rezone will allow the property owner to apply the residential estate's building setbacks and uses to the entire combined property. This rezone request complies with the required findings of the Development Code. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval at their November 19th meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Are there any questions from members of the council for Mr. Kearns or the applicant? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or possible motion.
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 Yeah, Councilmember Dolan.
I move to adopt ordinance number 25-1374, approving the rezone of a portion of 2400 Wood Lane, tract 135G, block 2, lot 3A, from golf course to residential estates district.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.7 is resolution number 25-3886, approving a minor general plan amendment revising the future land use map designations for a portion of 1955 Palmer Drive, track 135C, block 3, lot 1A, approximately 3,010 square feet from open space and park to low density residential. Mr. Kearns?
The subject property is located on Palmer Drive between Park Lane and Armour Drive. The property abuts the Lake Havasu City Golf Course. And on this slide, you can see there's quite a few other properties that have already added a portion of the golf course on this one. The property owner purchased an abutting portion of the property from the golf course and tied it to their residential property in 2024, resulting in the property having both open space and park and low density residential land uses. This request is to change the future land use designation of the old golf course portion of the property from open space and park to low density residential, so it will match the balance of the residential lot to permit residential uses and accessory structures that would not otherwise be allowed on the golf course portion of the property. The applicant's letter of intent asks to amend the city's general plan future land use map to the subject property from open space and park to low density residential to facilitate development in the newly acquired area for residential use in the existing residential estates district. The general plan amendment is the first step in this process. A rezone application for the property immediately follows this general plan amendment request. A citizens meeting regarding both general plan amendment and rezone was held on May 16th, 2025. 4 neighbors attended the meeting. The proposed amendment is in conformance with many goals and policies of the city's general plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval at their November 19th meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Are there any questions from members of the council on this item? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or a possible motion.
Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan?
Motion.
Please.
I move to adopt resolution number 25-3886, approving a minor general plan amendment revising the future land use map designations for a portion of 1955 Palmer Drive, tract 135C, block 3, lot 1A, from open space and park to low density residential.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan and a second from Vice Mayor Diaz. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.8 is a companion item, ordinance number 25-1375, rezone of a portion of 1955 Palmer Drive, Tract 135C, Block 3, Lot 1A, approximately 3,010 square feet from golf course to residential estates district. Mr. Kearns.
This is the same property from the previous item, but is in regard to the zone change. The property measures 0.56 acres. The property is located on Palmer Drive between Park Lane and Armour Drive. This request is to rezone the old golf course portion of the property from golf course to residential estates, so it will match the balance of the residential lot. This will permit the property owner to use the added golf course land for residential uses and accessory structures that would not be permitted in the current zoning. The rezone will allow the property owner to apply the residential estates building setbacks and uses to the entire combined property. This rezone request complies with the required findings of the Development Code. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval at their November 19th meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns. Are there any questions from members of the council on this item? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Councilmember Moses.
Move to adopt ordinance number 25-1375, approving the rezone of a portion of the 1955 Palmer Drive, Tract 135C, Block 3, Lot 1A from golf course to residential estates district.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses, a second from Councilmember Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? We are ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.9 is purchases of one 2026 Freightliner 114 SD with truck-mounted combination sewer cleaner from AZ Wastewater Industries, Inc. for Public Works Wastewater Division. One 2025 Ford Maverick from Santan Auto Partners for Public Works Administration. Two 2025 Polaris Ranger SP 570 from Polaris Sales Inc. for Parks and Recreation Department, and one 2025 Can-Am Defender limited utility vehicle from Anderson Power Sports for Fire Department. Mr. Young.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm before you tonight to finish up some stragglers that came behind us as we waited on some bids and contracts to be finalized. So we were trying to put together the final purchases of this fiscal year budget of 25-26 for vehicles, which would include all of those that you just mentioned, sir, with a total of $745,533.81. And with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Are there questions from members of council for Mr. Young on this item? Oh, yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Mr. Young, can you just clarify, like, where were the two Polaris Rangers and also the 2025 Can-Am Defender, where those are going to be utilized?
The two Polaris Rangers will be for parks, and they'll be for their maintenance part as far as going around picking up trash, dragging ball fields, and that kind of stuff. The Can-Am will be for the fire, for desert rescues, and that sort of operations.
Any other questions or comments before we open the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council for any comments or possible motion.
Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan.
Move to approve the purchase of one 2026 Freightliner 114 SD with truck-mounted combination sewer cleaner from Arizona Wastewater Industries, Incorporated. One 2025 Ford Maverick from Santan Auto Partners. Two 2025 Polaris Ranger SP 570 from Polaris Sales Inc. And one 2025 Can-Am Defender limited utility vehicle from Anderson Power Sports in the total combined amount of $745,533.81.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8.10 is cooperative purchases for equipment and supplies to support Parks and Recreation improvements and amenities from Exer Play. Ms. Vera.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you all? So I'm here today to really speak about something really cool that the Parks Department is doing. Back in September for our Park Advisory Board meeting, we had a spectacular group of women and moms come to the Parks Department and really advocate for their community, for their kids, and for other people who are in the disabilities community. With that, after we had that conversation with them, we then brought them to the Park Advisory Board where they were able to present on some of the, or I should say the lack of amenities in our current park system, or just the lack of access. So after having that conversation and getting all of that amazing feedback, and then thank you, Councilmember Moses, for showing that video here at one of our council meetings, it really got myself and my park superintendent kind of getting our hamster wheel turning on how we can do a better job to make sure that we're taking care of everybody in our community. So with that being said, we currently have a accessible playground feature at our Rotary Park. I don't know if you all have seen it. It's the seesaw, but unfortunately, due to not being properly used, it constantly breaks down. We're trying to find components to fix it, and it doesn't serve the community's purpose. So we looked at an alternative. So like for like, so we found another accessible feature, which is a We Go Round. So it's something that all abilities can use. So everybody in the community, not just people who have disabilities, but if you have, and we have lots of families who have kids who have disabilities, and then they have other children who don't have disabilities. So it's something for everybody to utilize. So with that, with Exer Play, we're about to exceed the amount we have on our cooperative agreement. This We Go Round, you guys should be able to see it. It should be in your packets, the picture of it. And that also comes with the surface. So it's the easy accessible surface. I don't know if you all are familiar with Rotary's playground, the one that has, it's like recycled tire surface. It's not really accessible. Then we have wood chips at some of our other parks. This is going to make it so it's easily accessible if somebody has a mobility device or needs assistance with their mobility. So.
Thank you, Ms. Vera. Are there any questions from members of the council for Ms. Vera?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Lynn.
Ms. Vera, we don't have this to put up, do we? So I'm looking at this picture that's in our things. So the blue is that surface, correct?
Yes, that's the surface area.
And I'm looking at the quote on that. It's fairly inexpensive to do that.
Yeah, just that little surface area for it to sit on. Yeah.
It's fairly inexpensive. Is there a reason why we're not doing the whole area down there?
So currently the quote only covers that. What we're trying to do is we're going to have some additional meetings with Building Bridges and some of our other families, who are specifically advocating for this community. Myself and Guy, our park superintendent, with the new budget season coming up, we're hoping that we can start including more of that, surface area throughout most of our parks.
I'm just wondering if we were doing this, if to just do the whole thing.
Expand it.
Yeah, just the whole time. Just because there's those other activities down there, there's swings and stuff. So if your wheelchair or their walkers or whatever can only get into that area, they still can't get into the other area. So I was just wondering what it would cost to finish that whole thing off if we even looked at that.
So the unfortunate part with that, Councilmember Lynn, is the swings are on the opposite side of the actual We Go Round. So the We Go Round is to the left and the swings would be to the right facing the lake. So they're not very close. It wouldn't make sense for us to expand it. It wouldn't touch yet.
Okay.
So those are things we can actively start working on as we're approaching this new budget season.
Aren't there some other activities down in there though?
So when you go, it kind of just sits by itself, unfortunately. It's kind of just freestanding. And then there's a pathway to the rest of the park where it kind of dips down into that, recycled material that's, again, not really accessible and not really friendly for mobility devices. Or really for me and you to walk.
That it seemed really inexpensive to do that. And just if we could do it all, I would support that. But thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of the council? Councilmember Moses?
No, yeah, I'd just like to make a comment and commend the city and your team for being so responsive to the community. You know, very rarely does it go this fast with city stuff. It always takes us a little bit to react. And I just want to commend you guys. This is awesome. The thing we're replacing has been broken for a little bit of time now. And I think this will be a real nice addition. Looking at the picture, it kind of looks cool because, like you said, all abilities can go use it. I think it looks fun for everybody kind of deal. And so that was the main point that everybody was hoping for, is that everybody can use it and they can play together, not just off by themselves over in their own little corner with their own equipment. This looks amazing. So
thank you.
Great work to you and your team.
Any other comments from members of the council before we open the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
Sounds like a great idea for all of our benefit. What are the costs involved in this?
Yeah, thank you. The cost for this particular item, the quote is $81,393.30 for the piece of equipment, the preparation, installation, and the flooring, or I don't know what I'd call that.
The surface, and then also we have to include the engineering costs in there as well too. So there's a lot of different factors. I know sometimes looking at that 81,000, it can be like, whoa, but playground equipment is very expensive. And there's a lot of other details that go into it. Just as if you were building a house, you need permits and engineering. It's somewhat similar to when you are going ahead and you're building a playground or a shade structure, things of that nature.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any additional discussion or a possible motion.
Mayor?
Councilmember Dolan?
Motion.
Please.
I move to approve routine routine purchases for parks and recreation equipment and supplies from Exerplay Inc., exceeding the expenditure threshold but not to exceed the annual department budget for the duration of the cooperative purchase agreement.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Next item is item 8.11, bid for the Sarah Park Ball Fields perimeter fence replacement for fields 1, 2, 3, and 4 to RCI Property Enterprises, LLC. Mr. Reynolds.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Yes, I'm here for you to consider the awarding the bid total for the Sarah Park Ball Fields 1, 2, 3, and 4 fencing replacement. As you know, Sarah Park's been in this system a long time. The current fencing for fields 1, 2, 3, and 4 is beyond its life cycle. It has inconsistencies in height. It is void of certain access gates and many other things, including as in being disarray. This project will include all new fencing with the respective heights of 8 and 10 feet, all new gates, all new concrete, and all the necessary hardware needed for this project. On November 10th, 2025, sealed bids were opened. We received 2. I'm suggesting that you move forward and award the bid for the Sarah Park Ball Field fencing replacement project to RCI Property Enterprises, LLC, in the amount of $198,762.25.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Are there questions from members of the council for Mr. Reynolds on this item? Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Mr. Reynolds, are these coated chain link, like color coded, like sometimes they have green or brown, or is it just?
Oh, that's a very good question, Councilmember Diaz. No, this is the actual galvanized, the coating stuff with our UV and also the water and stuff. It degrades and then it becomes kind of a mess.
Thank you, sir.
This is also a commercial grade, so it's a lot thicker. It's a better wear, heavier duty.
Any additional questions or comments from members of the council? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any additional questions or possible motion.
Mayor?
Councilmember Campbell?
I motion to move to award the total bid for the Sarah Ball Fields fence replacement project to RCI Property Enterprises LLC in the amount of $198,762.25.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Campbell, a second from Vice Mayor Diaz. Is there any additional discussion? We're ready to vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. All right, our final public hearing of the evening is item 8.12, discussion and possible direction regarding graffiti vandalism. This was an item that Vice Mayor Diaz had requested to be on the agenda, so I'll turn it over to you, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Thank you. And Councilmember Dolan reminded me I left my spray paint in my car, so I'm sorry. Sorry. So I want to thank the city manager. We had a discussion last week, and he put that video together with the team, and that was really informative. So thank you for doing that. And really just wanted to have a discussion, get some information out to the public of what we do with graffiti when it happens on not only city property, but the responsibility of private property is. And the one question I had, I'm not sure if it was in the video, but if it's on city property, what is the timeline for us that we usually do to get it rectified? And if it's on private property, how long do they have to get it taken care of?
Sure. Mayor, Vice Mayor, when it comes on public property, it's all going to depend. Is it on a bench in the channel where our parks maintenance team sees it immediately? Is it going to be on the backside of a speed limit sign that's over off a less well traveled portion of our community? So there's a lot, and what that looks like. So as soon as we see it, the approach for the city team is to collect the information for PD and then quickly remove it. But we don't always know where the graffiti is at. We do a really good job of the graffiti that we see, and we do rely a lot on. We have one resident in particular that does such a great job of reaching out to us and identifying the vandalism and graffiti where it does take place. We respond as best that we can there, but when we see it, we handle it. We do rely on our residents to help us out as much as possible. On the private side, it's a tricky one, right? Because it's private property. But Denise Abel and her team does an amazing job in code enforcement to first reach out to the private property owner and say, hey, there's graffiti on your property. We do need cleaned up. Code identifies 10 days, but it does allow us some grace. Denise and her team some grace to have some conversations on what it would take to get there. We have some really good people in the community that volunteer in terms of some of that cleanup on private property. That'd be a great avenue if people are listening to see if that's something that could take place. I know we'd love to have those types of conversations to assist, because sometimes graffiti on private property is expensive. And it really, really sucks that the city has to have a conversation with the private property owner that was just where their property was defaced. And now we're asking them or requiring them to remove that property, remove the graffiti at their expense. So, is that helpful?
Yeah, that helps a lot. And I remember there was one particular, I won't name the business, but I called you on it, and that you did some research, and it was a private. So they were redoing all the buildings, spending a lot of money to fix it up, to get it ready to open, and then got graffitied, but they took care of it. I'm glad in the video that they mentioned the Havasu Now app, and I know many council members have talked to the citizens about that, and so that was highlighted in the video. So that was really good, because we've been out there pushing that and gets it logged in the system. But that's really all I had, unless you wanted to add other council members chime in and see what the citizens have to say.
Yeah, no, thank you, Vice Mayor Diaz. Yeah, there was a recent stretch, it appeared, that was happening in the downtown area, and we were getting lots of reports. In addition to code enforcement, the police department works, very, very hard to not only track the different graffiti so they could find similar or like graffiti issues and maybe tie them to a particular person that may have done that. But the one thing is, like, Havasu City really doesn't stand for vandalism. We get on it really quickly, and I appreciate the citizens that do reach out to the city and then also handle it on their own private property. But one thing that was very clear to me in the video is the penalties. I think we have a very strong penalties. 30 days in jail for an adult is no joke. Mandatory. I mean, that's no joke. It's a very serious issue. So thank you for bringing it forward. I don't have anything to add, but if other council members do before we open the public hearing. Councilmember.
Mr. Mayor, would it be possible for that video to be like shown at our high schools, our schools? Because I don't know if the people who are actually doing the vandalism actually are going to be aware what those fines are. But if we put that out there, not saying it's our children, I'm just saying if we could put that out somewhere that people could see that video, what those fines, what those look like.
Mayor, Councilmember, we're going to blast it over social media. If any of the, we can make contact with the schools. It's sad to say, well, happy to say and sad to say that a lot of this vandalism occurs from people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So get a life, people.
Here, one thing I wanted to say about the video as well is I was not even aware of the fines or the mandatory jail time. And I think that's messaging we really need to get out there to people, because it's really important that they know that we're not there's the consequences of that. And when Vice Mayor Diaz brought this up, I was concerned also about a lot of the murals and artwork throughout our community as well, because we know how expensive that can get when you're tagging it. And I was like, we want to like double all the fines if you're messing with artwork or stuff that's valuable. But it sounds like we already have a good code in place. So thanks.
Any additional comments?
I mean, just real quick, I was going to say I really appreciate and hope this never ever changes the grace period for the businesses. Just because through no fault of their own, now they're responsible for something, right? And so, I mean, we charge enough in business licenses that we should give them a little grace period. Yeah, it worries me that if we ever get down that road where we don't have an amazing code enforcement officer like Denise, where we could start getting in trouble.
All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item?
Hi, Mayor Sheehy and council members. My name is Conrad Burdon. I've been here for about 10 years. I really want to give credit to Ms. Campbell. You know, when I saw this video, it was the first time I'd seen it. Yes, we know that graffiti happens, but to get it out to the local newspaper and even the white pages, you know, just let people know you do this. You excuse my French, you screw with the city and we're going to show you where the jail is. And I think that's very important. And, kudos, to you, Ms. Campbell, for, saying we need to get the word out in a big way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bonnie Toy. I was just curious why the property owners have to be, I mean, not like responsible, but why are they penalized if they don't have the funds or finances or the time or any of that because of somebody else attacking them? It seems like double penalty on their behalf, and they're just an innocent bystander.
Yeah, it's interesting. So people have private property rights. They have to get permission for someone to go on there. So Mr. Knutson explained a program where we do have volunteers that can assist for those folks that might not be able to. But you would be surprised at the amount of vandalism that occurs on private property that we don't have the ability to go handle on our own without some process. So they would be responsible for their private property.
Is there a different process for like a homeowner who is struggling with that versus a business that is private property?
Same process. So if somebody's home had graffiti on it and they were struggling with that same volunteer group could go and assist them as well.
Mayor, I would think that your insurance would probably cover vandalism too.
Oh, insurance. Thanks. Let me go check my.
Thank you, Ms. Toy. Would anyone else like to address the City Council on this item?
Nice to be able to talk so much tonight. Thank you for addressing it. I think you need to take the next step, though. I think you need to be a little more proactive on this. This is a serious situation. This is not some taggers just doing some artwork. These are gangs. This is what's going on here, where we have a serious gang problem moving into the city. And one of the most important things to do from my experience in other cities I've lived, is to get it covered up as soon as possible. And of course, also for the police department to put together a portfolio about these gangs and what their tags are and who's doing it. So this is something that you need to commit resources to the police department. This is something you need to commit resources to the public works department. This is a department that you need to set aside that will go after the tagging and cover it up immediately. This is, and to add to what Bonnie Toy said, it is something that is the city's responsibility along with the property owners. So I understand that there's issues with private property rights, but that's something that the city council should address in some form of, I don't know what, but you should address it so that the city can cover up these tagging situations for the citizens, because it's our responsibility to protect the citizens from this gang activity. So you do need to take a more proactive stance in this and get something started on it. We're behind the ball already. So I heard someone say up here today that this has been going on. This is a new revelation that's going on right now. This is not something that has just started. It is something that's just started. I don't know how long ago it's been, but it's increasing and it's not going to stop until you take a more proactive approach to it. So I'm applauding you for bringing it up and trying to do something, but you need to take the next step and do something a little bit more proactive, and it's going to take funds to do it. We're all about giving funds for other needy things in the city. This is seriously a needy thing in the city that needs to be addressed fund-wise. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Chief Sterling, please, can you just outline what the police department already has in place? I know we've had a discussion.
Absolutely. Well, good evening. I was hoping I would get up here tonight. Couldn't wait. So thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. So we were very impressed with the video that was put together. I invited our star of the show, Sergeant Ian Daly, here tonight in case there was specific questions. Ultimately, what happens is, and why we really encourage the public to be involved and to report these sightings to us, is so we can document this. And what we do is our street crimes unit is typically the ones that are assigned to anything related to graffiti, because sometimes there is a gang nexus associated with that, which not always, but sometimes. And so their responsibility is to categorize those, look for patterns, obviously investigate just like we do any other type of crime, and hopefully we find the culprits. In addition to that, as a team, as it's already been explained several times, and the cleanup process is really what the priority is for us, because we as a city, I think we all agree, the quicker we get it cleaned up, the better. And so we do have a pretty good program for that. Again, that's a team effort, and so we're proud of that. And so from our perspective on the enforcement side, the key piece is that, we need the additional eyes and ears out there to report. And so when our street crimes unit runs into a dead end, they've navigated through all avenues and they can't come up with a culprit, then they reach out to the public. And that's what recently happened with putting out the press release, seeking assistance from our public. And you know what? Thank goodness we do have a lot of concerned citizens that provided us anonymous tips. We always accept those. And it has led to some investigative leads. And so those are currently being investigated, and we hope to have a positive conclusion. I guarantee you, when we do make an arrest in that, you all are going to be notified of that, and our community is going to be notified of that, because we're going to highlight that.
Thank you, Chief. Did you have any follow-up questions, Vice Mayor Diaz? I'm good. Right. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. And thank you for the efforts of your department.
Mayor?
Yeah. Councilmember
Chief Palapis, do you want to have anything to say?
Yeah, please.
Evening, City Council. Thank you for having us. My name is Patrick Willard, resident here in the city. I had been involved with graffiti in another city that I had lived in before, and we actually had a youth program, and we got Home Depot involved with the youth program, and Home Depot actually donated a lot of the cover-up paint and stuff like that. So it could be something we could look at here to get the youth covering it instead of putting it up and having them get involved in working with it. And the other thing with the youth fine, I think we need to increase it to about $1,000 because most of them are riding around on these electric bikes that cost $2,000. So I would maybe put it in the works, maybe raising the penalty for the youth from 500 to at least 1,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item?
Nicholas Black. I would like to just say that I think we should raise the time for 30 months or not 30 months, 30 days versus 60 days. I don't think that will be because it's too short. People should be, you know what I mean. It's too short.
Yeah, it should be more.
It should be more. 6 days should be pretty enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Black. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council. There is no action on this unless there's any direction from a council member, but I would like to just thank Chief Sterling, Sergeant Daly, and your team for doing such a fantastic job getting it and addressing it right away. So thank you for that. Mr. Tuneman, your team in code enforcement, thank you for your part. And I know Public Works is also involved in lots of those components as well. So thank you for that. I would also like to highlight Jerry Bracamani and Steve Blake, who made the video. A fantastic job on that. And thank you, Vice Mayor Diaz, for bringing this topic up this evening. Unless there's any additional discussion, we will end our discussion on this item. All right, we'll move on to item 9 on our agenda, which is call to the public. This is where citizens have an opportunity to address the city council on items within the jurisdiction of Lake Havasu City. We can't have a two-way conversation at this point because it's not on the agenda. You do have 3 minutes to address the council. There'll be indicators on the screens throughout the room. We do ask if you're going to address this during call to the public that you address the council directly. And the council, again, cannot respond, but we can respond to any criticism that may present itself. You don't have to sign up, but we did have one gentleman sign up. So Mr. Bourdon, do you want to make your way to the podium?
Mayor Sheehy and council members, I'm back. My name is Conrad Bourdon. As I said before, I've lived here for 10 years with our family. We recently came here with 3 other property owners, 4 in total, to coffee with the mayor. And actually, we were recommended at that time to speak in front of you with the problem that we see that is not getting better, it's getting worse. And that is London Bridge Road, or some of us call it the Raceway. We have from Industrial Boulevard north on London Bridge Road to Highway 95 is 6.5 miles. In that period of highway, there's not one stop sign, not one red light or anything. And it has continually gotten worse on people speeding. There, as many of you are aware, there is a speed sign, which is very close to where the 4 of us live, that says, slow down, too fast. And initially, when that speed sign was put up, it actually worked. People thought, but that's long since been buried. People now use it as a place to speed. A friend of mine recently followed a concrete truck in a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and he backed off when he said the guy was going to do over 50 miles an hour. Now, I'm sure that the people that own the concrete trucks don't tell their drivers, we want you to drive fast and break Arizona state law to get to the property quicker. But the fact of the matter is, many of them do a lot all the time. And just the fact that this little sign says, slow down, you're going too fast, or so on, comes on right at 36 miles an hour. At any rate, it's something that we're afraid somebody's going to get hurt sometime. Because there is no stoplight or anything along that 6.5 mile section, just a simple stop sign on North Palo Verde just to slow people down, because London Bridge Road is getting used more and more and more, and all the birds aren't here yet. So it gets very busy. Just yesterday, my wife and I we stopped counting at 15 automobiles going southbound on LBR. And admittedly, it's a time of day thing, but it's just incredible. And I would hope that the council would look forward to seeing what we could do. The police department, they don't stand a chance. They just undermanned. They don't have the wherewithal to put people along that distance of highway. At any rate, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to speak this evening. And yes, I'm aware of my time is getting up, but thank you, Mayor Sheehy and council members. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. That concludes speakers that have signed up. So we'll now open it up to anyone else that would like to address the city council during call to the public.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I just want to say thank you for all your hard work this year. It's been amazing. I'm really grateful that this is the last meeting of the year. Second, I was listening to the Coffee with the Mayor over the weekend. Actually, I listened to it yesterday. I wasn't able to attend. I highly recommend not sweeping your house and falling down and breaking your foot. During the questions of that people were asking you, one of the things I heard someone saying was how crosswalks, a couple of crosswalks are now that you have to stand and wait for a gap in traffic. And you said that if we didn't wait for a gap in traffic, we were going to get hit. I thought that was really funny. But, because if I'm having to cross the street, in order for a driver to know that I'm going to cross the street, I kind of have to step into the street for them to know, and might not be able to wait for a gap in traffic. And you also mentioned that Wheeler Park was unsafe for people to go to look at the tree and to get close to the tree, and that's why you have to move it to the Main Street Commons. Yes, Commons. And I was thinking maybe there was a way to make it safer for people to be able to go to Wheeler Park all the time, like maybe put in some safe crosswalks. And I would highly recommend leaving London Bridge alone, except for improving the asphalt, because, well, I may never speed, but my goodness, being able to drive down a street 35, 40 miles an hour and just enjoy the whole scenery, I would highly recommend just putting people out there going 40 miles an hour and making everybody who's trying to speed, a little upset, and let them slow down, because that's what the speed limit's for. And I really hope you guys have a great Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ms. Toy. Would anyone else like to address the city council during call to the public? All right, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public. Are there any current events, current council committee reports? Now, I will give an update from the Mojave County Water Authority. We did have our quarterly board meeting this morning, and the post-2026 guidelines for the operations of the river are still stalled at this point. They're still meeting weekly. They're going through and trying to bring resolution. But Arizona's position is that we can't bear the brunt of all of the cuts that are going to be necessary on the system. And we're steadfast in that position. Hopefully we'll get some movement. Next week is the annual CRUA conference. So we'll have a little bit more discussion that's where all 7 basin states will be, as well as representatives from Mexico. So if there's anything additional, we can share at the next council meeting. Item 11 is future meetings. Our December 23rd meeting has been canceled, but our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. It is a regular meeting. Item 12, are there any future discussion items? Item 13, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you for being here. Happy holiday season to all. Happy New Year, and we'll see you after the first of the year.